Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Nick Thompson. You may know me from Netflix Love is Blind, but on this podcast, we sit down with guests from all walks of life to hear their story, remove stigmas, and uncover what makes them tick. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Conversations with Nick Thompson. I am your host, Nick Thompson. Today we have a very, very interesting guest coming on. Her name is Samantha Joy. She's a best-selling author of The Less Effect, Design Your Life for Happiness and Purpose. She's also a writing coach. I recently connected with Samantha. We kind of bonded a little bit. I felt like she was actually showing some very real authenticity and vulnerability on her Instagram account. Well, I at the time was going through something similar to what she was. And, we just decided to hop on a call, and I really like her approach, and I really like the way she approaches her life. When she shared with me how writing a book changed her life and got her from her darkest place to her most vibrant and empowered place, I thought it was an amazing story to tell. And so I wanted to bring all of that to you to talk about things like, understanding how to be comfortable in discomfort, understanding what a mindset shift actually means. And most importantly, like how to take care of yourself so that you can show up in the world as your authentic self and shed the things that aren't meant for you, which I think is truly an amazing approach to life. It's really, really hard. And that's what's so cool about this guest is she's able to share some of her darkest times and how she came out of them. And it wasn't easy and it wasn't linear. And so I thought it would be great to have her on here to talk about how she has shown up as her best self and risen from the ashes of the darkest times and learned how she needs to run her business and her personal life using things that are healthy for her, whether that be boundaries, whether that be self-care, whether that be putting her best energy in the world so she's attracting it back. So without further ado, let's get to Samantha Joy. She's an excellent guest, and I can't wait to talk to her. Hey everyone, today our guest is Samantha Joy, and she's an identity coach, motivational speaker, as well as the founder of the Landon Hale Press internationally recognized publishing company. Her coaching program supports impact-driven entrepreneurs, high achievers, world leaders in shifting their identity to their most authentic self. So Samantha, thank you for coming on today, and I'm happy to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. I know our previous conversations have been too short. We go really deep into a lot of really interesting topics. So I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. I think it's interesting because I've been focusing a lot on my connections. I think I told you this when we first talked a couple of weeks ago, but like I'm focusing on all these connections, and I felt like we were kind of vibing a little bit, for lack of a better word, and kind of hitting strides. And it was really cool that you wanted to chat and then come on. So I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm scared because I think you gave me some insight that you have a plan, and I don't know what it is yet, but I'm excited.
Oh, no. It's all fun. It's all fun. I like to get, not serious with people, but like just be authentic. And I think that's one of the most important things is this is a space where you can share what you're comfortable with, share what you need, and not feel required to share anything. Unless you're a politician. If I ever get a politician on here, then
I am not a politician, so we're good.
Yes. So I like to start with some small talk questions and just get to know you a little bit. What are your, I already know the answer to this, but I think it's cool. Okay. What are your Valentine's Day, or should I say Galentine's Day brunch plans?
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for asking, Nick. So I am so honored to be leading a group of women with my keynote of healing through storytelling. And really that's hitting on just the aspects of healing through sharing all parts of ourselves, right? And not holding back and releasing shame. This is so in line with my method of coaching, right? So I'll be leading all those women through that process, and just, finding self-love on Galentine's Day is important. Just remembering that we are our primary partners in life, not forgetting that part of it. and celebrating each other. So I'm really excited.
Very
Do you
cool.
have Galentine's Day plans, Nick?
Um, that's a good question. I might be doing an Instagram live actually with someone. So we'll
Nice.
see. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll see.
I love it.
That'll be fun. So what's your favorite TV show that you're binging right now?
Things have been so busy. Okay. I have one. So I'm re-binging, which might be sad, but has anyone seen The Mindy Project? It's just such a good show. And it's been about a week since I've been able to watch TV, but prior to that, I had surgery, and through my recovery, I was like, I want to rewatch this. And man, Mindy Kaling, she is
She's
so
so
talented.
funny. Yeah. She
Hysterical.
gets she gets her like niche so well too in comedy and storytelling. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's a home run like every time. And her
Yeah.
humor is like so dialed in. It's so up my alley. So if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, definitely go see it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What is your favorite book of all time?
Oh, that's a good question. I read the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Have you read it?
I haven't.
So I have it here. I know this is audio, but I'm going to also hold it up.
There's a
Beautiful.
few people that watch it on YouTube too. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So it's predominantly for the female audience, but I know a few men who've read it. I read it cover to cover, like those really sad, ugly, choking tears, and like they weren't all sad tears. They've just it evoked so much emotion in me. I've never experienced anything like that through a book before. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
good. It was like the book was just like this big release, and felt like I had belonging in the world again.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's all about feeling connected.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for each person is probably a little bit different, but that's a good recommendation to anyone. What's your favorite meal?
Should I just say rapid fire, like what came to mind?
Yeah, go. Give
It's
it
not a
all.
meal. I just really love smoothies. Like they're just
Okay.
my favorite. Like a good salad or a good smoothie. I know that's not like the most exciting answer, but it just is. They're my favorite.
Well, when they hit right, they hit right. And
Right.
that can be, a donut, that can be a smoothie.
Right.
It
Exactly. But like
totally
you can get
depends.
really creative with it too, right?
Yeah.
So I like that.
So
I like that aspect of it.
so now I got to ask you, what's your cheat go-to meal? Is it sweet,
Oh.
savory? What is it?
Yeah, I'm more of a savory person for sure. So just, so I am a vegan, so I do want to say
Mhm.
that. So, but there's a lot of good options still, but really just there's this restaurant down the street and they do what's it called? What's that Canadian thing with the French fries, poutine or whatever?
Oh,
They put all the
yes.
stuff on. They like have this reenactment, this like dairy-free version of it, but it hits. It's
Oh my
amazing. And
gosh.
I never am like, I'm glad I ate that, but that's how you know it was like really good.
Oh
So,
yeah. I love poutine.
yeah.
So I got to ask now, and I did have this for later too, but when did you become a vegan and what was your driving factors?
So this 6 years ago, I want to say it was on Thanksgiving, 6 years ago. And leading up to that, there's a lot of backstory, but in terms of food, I went through this phase of amateur bodybuilding. So there was such a hyper focus on what I was eating. And I went through this is a whole other story, Nick, of like
Go
my
for it.
disordered eating and like all this stuff. But really what it came down to was, yeah, I was hyper focused on food and how much I was eating or how little and measuring. And it was for a season each time, but it still like totally messed with my eating and my approach to eating and my feeling about the food I was eating and all of that. So
Mm,
it brought a hyper focus on also the quality of food and the where it came from and the effects it was having on my body, the effects it was having on the planet, all of that stuff, right?
yeah.
And so the deeper I dove into that, I just kind of went pescatarian. And
Okay.
I wanted to see, and I actually had really bad acne. I didn't as, a teenager, I didn't in college. And then like this like early 30s, I just got this like crazy breakouts, like once a week. And then eventually it was all over. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something. So I think people say, why did you go vegan? And honestly, it was the ethical reasons for like, or the environmental stuff. It was for the animals. It was for my health because I did feel better on it.
Mm-hmm.
And my skin completely cleared up. There were more effects that I was noticing that I won't get into, but like just a lot, like good blood flow, good
Right.
libido, like all the, good sleep. And, it felt good because for so long, like when I was in corporate, I was that kind of squeaky, annoying wheel that was like, do we have to use so much paper? Can we please go digital? Excuse me, you left the light off in the kitchen. So like I'm that person. And I think you and I kind of like, I think you're into that too, Nick, a lot of like the
Yeah.
DIY, like not
Oh yeah.
wasting, reusing, reinventing things. So that kind of bled over into the food stuff because I never felt like I was doing enough. And then, people are like, when you recycle, you're not really recycling. It's not really happening. And so it was just a way that it was a personal choice that where I could feel like I was making a difference, like in my
Mm-hmm.
carbon footprint and beyond. And I also very much just respect everyone's choice. I mean, for 30 years, I ate a lot of meat. I could never eat
Mm-hmm.
dairy. So that was easy to let go. Did not
Yeah.
agree with me, but
It's interesting you said that about the acne because actually I went vegan for like a year and a half, except I shouldn't say I went vegan. I went almost vegan because I would allow myself to have one meal a week that would be like pizza or something that I just love. And I had never felt better just in general than those days when I was eating consistently plant-based. And another funny, weird story is I used to have, and I still actually have acne sometimes. And I used to have really bad back acne, which is gross, I know.
same. No, I
And
did too.
yeah, and my
Yeah.
doctor, this was like 2010. Not my doctor, my friend was like, I had really bad acne and I gave up pork. So I gave up
Oh,
pork and it cleared up. And like, I have not, knock wood, had any issues since I've given up pork
it's wild.
with
And
that.
here's the thing, like if I just take a objective stance as far as like let's put any of my beliefs or values or ethics aside, at the end of the day, and I just saw another write up about this, is like you can have organic grass fed, but like someone's getting their hands on something for these pastures and all of that and what they're eating in their food and all of that, the
Hmm.
soil, the injections that they're now required to do by state, like without going into all that and getting all political in that. I mean, you think you're just eating a piece of meat sometimes, and that could be good for you. I'm not even arguing that. I just know it
Oh
works
yeah.
for my body, but there's stuff in there, whether it's grass fed or organic or any of that. And that's the problem in the food industry. So, aside from the ethical part that I hold true for me, it's like the food quality is just
Hmm.
not what we think it is. And
No.
we just have to believe what they tell us. And it's not always what's happening behind closed doors because we have to feed a lot of people in this country. That's why a lot of people are starving because
Hmm.
we can't keep up with it. So, how do we keep up with it? They do what they got to do, but then it
Yeah.
compromises the food quality.
Oh, I feel like we could spend the whole
I
entire
know. That's a whole
conversation on
episode.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was like
Yeah.
my journey started with toothpaste, like literally,
I
and
think I did know that, and I make my own as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it took me down what our food is, took me
Yeah.
down to like organic or what happens when you go overseas and especially into, like the Nordics and some parts of Europe. It's like they don't even need to have the like level of organic that we have because they just are, everything's pasture raised. you
Yeah.
can't you can't do the things you do here in this country. And it's horrible. And I try whenever I buy, especially meat and vegetables, excuse me, it's organic if at all possible, grass fed for beef. But even to your point, like it's better, but it's still not the
Well, and
highest of quality.
you can't drive yourself crazy either. You got to do what you got to do, and being a human means we're like there's toxicity everywhere somewhere in doses, like
Hmm.
it's about mitigating it. We cannot eliminate it unless we
Right.
want to live off the grid by ourselves away from society, and even then the stress levels of that alone might kill
Oh
you.
yeah,
So
the isolation is
it
is
sounds great, I think, for a little bit, but we are not living in a generation, at least now, or a society that teaches us how to live sustainably in that way. Like it's the opposite. So we don't have those skills that maybe generations before us had.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree. So I've got a last fun one for you here. What did you want to be when you were growing up and why? And did that change at all as you got older?
Yeah, I know the answer to this one. A pop star. And no, it hasn't changed. I literally last night was at a dance rehearsal. I'm getting like I have elements of it in my own way. So I have a big show tomorrow night. We're opening the show, and so I do get hired for some dance gigs here and there, and it's actually ramping up. I'm starting to bring more of my performer star identity archetype to my life, my business, everything. And it's been fun, but I've dabbled here and there. And I used to dance for MTV and perform and sing and act and all these things. And last night at rehearsal, because the show is tomorrow, one of the kids, there's a kid dancing with us in one of the numbers. And we're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, I can't tell you. It's so stupid. And you will laugh at me. And we were all like, I go, I want to be a pop star. Like, okay, your turn, because there's no
Mhm.
stupid answers here. So I literally had this conversation last night, and if I could actually, I would be the pop star without the fame. I just want to get paid to dance and sing all day,
Yeah.
but then I want to go out to eat dinner and like not be bothered because I'm a hardcore introvert. So
Mhm.
that would
Yeah.
be my dream.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about introverts?
That we don't have social skills. We are like
I
the
know.
best sometimes at
I
doing it.
know.
Right? And no one would
Yeah.
ever know.
Oh no, I get told all the time you're not an introvert. I'm like, I go days without talking to human beings because I just need to be in my,
Yeah.
in my space. And it's weird because to your point, they think you can't be social.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're the best at being social because you're actually bringing thought provoking ideas and issues to the conversation. And that's where, I think that's one of my superpowers is like bringing like real conversation to people and hence the podcast. So it's like weird that people just assume because you're able to talk and communicate that nope, you're
Right.
an extrovert.
Yeah. Well, and someone once told me, an old mentor was, it's where you recharge. So for me,
Yes.
I love to speak on stage. And even at these events, I was at an event 2 weeks ago, and it's go, go, go. The minute you're off the clock from like, quote, working or delivering that service or that talk, you now are speaking to tons of people. I was signing books. I was just
Hmm.
go, go, go the whole weekend, and I loved it. And you bet your, can I swear on here? There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
swearing.
Oh yeah. No, there's no
You bet your
rules.
ass. When I got home, I was like, no one can, I'm unreachable. I love you all, and I'm unreachable. I need to now process and like integrate all of this experience. So it's the big expansions, big contractions, and so forth. That's how I work as an introvert, and
Mhm.
that works best for me. And I love your point. What a amazing point around the fact that we spend time with ourselves. We're not afraid to be alone. So a lot of that time is spent getting to know ourselves. So
Mhm.
we have, yeah, intentional, aware conversations. It's not to say if you're an extrovert, you don't have that, because there's also skills you develop
Of
in
course.
social situations that are very important. You could really be on an extreme in both, which is not ideal. But yeah, I too spend days alone, which is why I recently forced myself to join a co-working space, because it was getting
Mm.
a little much. I was alone a
I
lot, working a lot.
I get that. I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in like local coffee shops and stuff for that very reason because sometimes it's too much to just
Yeah.
be with yourself all the time. But
Right.
sometimes I wonder if people who are extroverted because they're not comfortable with themselves. And so just being alone gives them anxiety or makes them depressed and so they, kind of put themselves out there in a way where they're always surrounded by a distraction. And I've been there like when I was younger, so I get it. But once I learned what, you know, the introvert superpower of getting comfortable with yourself, it really allows you to be comfortable being alone.
Yeah, like from the pandemic, that really brought out like, which one are you? which camp
Mm-hmm.
do you fall in, right? Because there's a lot of discomfort through there. A lot of people, even the ones that were like, I'm an introvert and I'm alone a lot. Well, you can still be alone and still distract yourself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's called
So
social
it's really,
media.
oh, yeah.
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 Do you know what's
That's
funny? I have a couple that's married, and everyone, we would always joke about him being the more introverted and her being the more extroverted, and found out they were actually the opposite. And that she was the one that was like, now that I'm home more, I don't really know if I need to be out as much. And it
yeah.
was weird because then he was the one that was wanting to be social. So I think
Yeah.
you're right. The pandemic taught us a lot
About
about
ourselves.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yes.
The resiliency.
Can I,
Uh,
can I ask you a question?
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What,
Totally.
well, I'm just curious, like, what did you bring out of the pandemic? Like, what was the thing that you learned about yourself?
Ooh. Wow. So I went into the pandemic and I felt like I was fine at first, in a sense. Like I'm built for this. I'm built for this work from home. I'm built for this,
Right.
having more freedom. And in a sense, I was. But then it just went on and on and on and on and on. And I felt like I was very stagnant for a while. But what it did is it gave me the opportunity, which I'm still figuring out now, but it gave me the opportunity to like really reflect on, who I already like knew who I was. I was very comfortable, very authentic with myself. But like, who am I going to be like outside of my job? Because I had just spent months, working from home, doing nothing else. And I kind of realized like my whole career, which I've basically put most of my energy into, was to become a CMO, a chief marketing officer. And during the pandemic, I had the opportunity to step in interimly with my old company, and I realized like I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, well, what do I want then? Because this is what I've been working towards. So I think getting that opportunity and coming out of it, and I'm still not 100% sure, but I've got some things.
No one is.
Um,
No one's 100% sure.
right, right. It made me realize that I don't want what I thought I wanted the whole time, and it's caused me to sort of look at things like, well, what are my expectations versus like the reality of the situation? And so I think just kind of like looking at the world through that lens is a little bit of a different thing. I also, your social life gets stripped away, and mine was never crazy. I always joke I have like 6 friends, but I feel like I really came out of that like focused on building good connections with people, because when the world does go to shit, like you want to be with your people. And I don't think
Yes.
it's just when the world's going to shit, like you just need to be with your people. And I think that was another thing that I really feel like I knew, but like was forced to like live, which was a good learning.
And that, I think the pandemic was such a big, magnifying glass over whatever we were not wanting to deal with or look at. Things
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, we knew, but kind of were like, nah, it's no big deal. And then it became the time to address a lot of those things. I know that for me, that was like a really big part of my experience for sure.
So I got to throw that question back to you then. What's the biggest thing you learned during the pandemic?
Um, okay, this is vulnerable. So I, like most people, got to really see more of myself. And I realized that somewhere along the way, I was really, even in the midst of the coaching I was doing and all the tools I had that I was guiding others through and thought I was, implementing myself, that I was living very much outside my body versus like from the inside out, I was living a lot through the outside in. Right.
Mm,
And I think, life goes in waves where we feel really, I don't think it's this like one day you wake up and you crack the code and you're more authentic through and through. I think that the human
awesome.
experience is you develop and you heal and you move through something and you come out better, but then there's something else and the old stuff comes up and it's this ebb and flow. And over time, you know, you're getting closer to that person you'd like to be. So for me, I just saw it everywhere. It was such a wake up call.
Mm,
Like I saw it in the clients I was saying yes to work with and the way that I was working with them and the boundaries I wasn't holding in all areas
mm,
and the relationships I was choosing romantically. So I took that time and I went into like full. So I've been sober for a few years. So there was no drinking. I stopped all cannabis, totally celibate. Like I really was like, all right, I get it, universe, God, whoever brought this on, like, I
mhm.
get it. This is what I need. And intuitively, I was like stripping everything away. It just felt like the right thing. And it was so hard. And it was like I was like trudging through mud every day.
Mhm.
Every day felt like so much resistance because, yeah, I was in perpetual discomfort, but it was discomfort that I chose. And eventually I got to feel peace because I was not distracted by all these things that were validating me. And eventually I turned the corner and for the first time, like there were many times in my life where I'd use those tools and I felt really confident. And then you got to sit and think like, was this from some other source or was this
Mhm.
internally? Like if I walk in a room and everyone says, boo, get out, like, do I still feel
Yeah.
good or am I basing every day and every emotion on the reaction of others? And I was like,
Oh.
it's so automatic for us. It's like a default and we've got to do a lot of digging and a lot of work to get through that. And so for me it started with really getting real with what wasn't working for me and not being afraid to be alone and alone in like all the ways, and
Mhm.
that was helpful for me to get to the other side of like truly deeply loving myself for the first time. And where it didn't matter like, people can say things about you and you feel it for a minute, but when you really get into self-love, you're like you're anchored in who you are. So it was a big turning point for me to, yeah, strip all that away and really show up for myself as myself.
Which is the hardest thing
Yeah.
to do. And I, I think you're spot on with all of that, and I don't think a lot of people are comfortable doing that and really looking in the mirror. And it's through the adversity and the rock bottom feeling, like, which is, I think we talked, I think I had mine like 5 days before we chatted for the
Yeah.
first time, and it was like, oh my god, this is where I'm really going to be tested.
Yeah,
And I have
exactly.
a decision to make about, am I going to keep being myself? Am I going to learn? Am I going to grow? Like, you still have the scar tissue, it's always there. But coming out the other side will will make you so much stronger and so much ready for the next adversity, because it's out there, it's coming. It's just when
Right.
and what is it?
Right. And
Yeah,
how can you move through that storm makes all the difference.
exactly. You mentioned earlier, before we started recording, about like productive, or not productivity, geez, about being comfortable in the discomfort, which
Oh
you
yeah.
mentioned again a second ago. So, this maybe something that you kind of answered already, but what what's discomforting you right now? Let's go that way.
Just generally in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, how are you embracing the discomfort to grow? And
Yeah. So I have a very privileged discomfort of my business. My publishing company is doing incredible. And so, yeah, 5 years ago, I wrote my first book and it became a bestseller and it changed my life. And I knew this was my calling. And it was so much deeper than creating this tangible book. It was helping people tell stories, be vulnerable, release shame, and really get to that next level. And so I've really done my best to embody that through the years. And it's no coincidence that me doing what I love is bringing in a lot of success and a lot of abundance. And with that comes a lot of discomfort because now a lot of people are relying on me and I'm having to take on roles that I don't really love. We were talking about this before, like managing a team and uh, just calling the shots and kind of being the head of something very big feels like a lot of pressure and just continues to grow. And so just finding the comfort and the discomfort of success, to be honest. I mean, there's other things I could point out where, I vulnerably dating is like not a comfortable thing for me. It feels super
It's all awful.
not organic. Like I just, like you said, connection is so valuable to you. I'm a single woman. I have a son. Like I just want to connect with amazing people and do what I love. And if something grows out of that, great. But and this is not to knock anyone. I actually feel like people are very brave for going out there and making this a priority. But the process of dating, as we kind of think of it in the box of now, it's really is online, and it's like it just going in. Intention for me is everything, right? So for me, I'm only speaking for me personally, but going into an app that is meant to connect you with someone that you might spend your life with, or maybe you want something else, but let's just stick with the relationship side of it because that's what I'm looking for. Is feels inauthentic because I'm now going out with a complete stranger, trying to see if this is someone I might be able to spend my life with, and I have had 2 experiences in my entire romantic dating life where I dated a close friend. And like years of knowing them and then dating them. And while it didn't come to fruition or it wasn't long lasting, it confirmed what I want so badly, which is that deep, deep connection with no agenda and true intimacy. Like platonic intimacy to me on so many levels is true intimacy because you are not bringing in the distraction of sex or anything, outside of what's important. So those 2 experiences I had really helped confirm for me that I just want someone I can be totally myself with, totally vibe with, not hide and bond with. And right now, this approach to dating of just finding someone to like fill a seat feels not organic,
Empty.
not authentic
Yeah.
to me. Yeah, it's an empty process. So that is super uncomfortable for me. Like just the thought of dating is uncomfortable, but running into someone, meeting a friend of a friend, a colleague, maybe, I don't know if that's appropriate, but whatever, you kind of take it as it comes.
Right.
When you work so much, you start dating people like you like see at events and things. And,
Oh,
that's kind of
totally.
rampant in that industry, but no
Yeah,
comment.
that's no, that's totally true.
Yeah.
And it's like once you're an adult and everything starts revolving around like work and events, and it's the only way you can possibly meet people. And then my favorite, do you ever get someone that's trying to like set you up with someone?
No, but if you're listening, shoot me some information because no, I would love that. Is that
W-
bad?
No,
Do you
no,
hate
I was
that?
no, 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 no.
No one
So
ever does,
we're
actually. Maybe because what I hear a lot is, man, I really wish I could, but like they're all garbage. Like I would never set you up with my husband's friends or whatever. Like that's what I get a lot. So
okay,
yeah.
that's probably better. But first, the DMs are open for sliding, it sounds like.
No, that's not what I said, Nick. I
Oh,
don't
okay. I
slide in there.
misunderstood.
Be my friend. If you are
Right.
also listening, be my friend first. I want like that's my number one. Well, I'm
Mhm.
my number one, right? And so that's what that whole journey for me through the pandemic was like. I know we hear this a lot and say this a lot of like, oh, I'm going to date myself, but I like you're going to date yourself. Are you going to be intimate with yourself? And I mean, like, are you going to sit with yourself? Are you going to love yourself? Are you going to nurture yourself? All the things that you think of when you think of being intimate with a partner, you're going to do that for yourself. And so I started to think, oh my gosh, like this is not how I treat myself. I need to
Yeah.
treat myself this way. So, yes, I just, if you want to slide in the DMs, it's for deep connection only, no agendas. So,
I think what you said there is again that theme of like when you connect with yourself, when you have a good relationship with yourself, you show up authentically, and then you attract the same type of people, and the other people aren't going to be interesting because they don't want to connect on that level. And that's where like
yeah.
organic connection comes, and that's what I try to help, myself, of course, and other people, is to take care of yourself first. Because, I coined this term a week or two ago, said, if you're not looking after yourself first, it's likely no one is.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people to like internalize, because as soon as you take care of yourself, you don't have to worry about, because then right? You don't have to worry about burnout. You don't have to worry, because the boundaries you need for your own self-care. And people do not have the tools, or in some cases the wherewithal, to do that. And it's so hard. It's so hard. And I know that, and I feel for people, but if there's one takeaway, you've got to take care of yourself.
Well, and it's so funny, Nick, and I'm not surprised at all, because I literally, a lot of things you were bringing up even before the recording and everything, it's like conversations I was just having, right? I just had a meeting with a client who is writing about burnout, but I also just had a meeting with a client who we were talking about. I love the way she coined it. It was like, who are your allies, or what are your allies, right? But she
Yes.
said, my biggest ally is me. And the conversation that led to was, if I'll just give you an example, like if you're a mom, right? Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm a mom, right? And I think I'm prioritizing my 10-minute walk every day, but my son sees that on a rainy day, or if I have a spouse, or whatever, the people around me see, clients, on a rainy day, I'm not going to go walk because it's raining, So they
Mm-hmm.
start to see that in the hard moments, it's not a priority for me. So do you think that they're going to respect what my needs are around my walk or my self-care, or they're going to respect, what I need to feel good? No, because I don't even prioritize it, and I don't even feel like it's that important, right? So the conversation was more around, like, especially on the hard days, doing what you got to do. And then the universe and the environment and everything around you conspires to support that when you are, like you said, looking out for yourself. But if you're not, you cannot be in victim mode and say, oh my gosh, it never works out, there aren't good people around me. Because until that was the hard pill that I had to swallow during the pandemic, I knew things are the way they are because of me, for better, for worse. And so if I want any of that, I've got to be that. End of story.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk to your clients, and obviously you've learned this yourself, about mindset, I think there's such a like mindset manifestation. I think there's like so much more that goes into that, and people like to just throw it out there and say it. But like, how do you work with your clients, and what tactics do you use to help people, have a great mindset, and understand that it is on them, and that they have to be the ones to take the leap?
I am so glad you asked this, because this is one of the big things in personal development that I gravely struggled with. And I know that I'm not alone. It felt very lonely for a while. And until I myself, about 5 years ago, really dove into the concept of identity. I know we hear this word and we're like, oh, we know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
But how much do we bring attention to what our identity is? Meaning, identity is the way that we perceive ourselves. So the way we perceive ourselves directly impacts everything we create around us. It impacts the furniture that I pick to put in my house. It impacts the person I decide to have the conversation with on the phone. It impacts the relationship I choose. It impacts the job that I choose. It impacts the pay that I'm willing to settle for. It
Mm-hmm.
literally influences all those things. And what do all those things do? Every single day, they reflect back to us, and they just keep ingraining an identity that may or may not be ours, right? So mindset comes after this. But when I first discovered personal development, I think it was 13, and my mom had all the library of books of all the self-help stuff, Tony Robbins, you name them, Eckhart Tolle, they were all in there, Wayne Dyer. And I remember reading Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And I don't know how much I absorbed, but I remember thinking, okay, like I think I've cracked the code, right? And I think a lot of this is in my book that I wrote. And thinking like, okay, it's mindset. If I just shift my mindset, then everything changes, right? And while there's truth to that, you can only do that for so long, because your
Oh yeah.
environment supports a completely different mindset, a completely different identity, right? So if I may, I'm going to plug my method, which is the Less Effect, which was born out of my continuous failures around trying to shift my mindset. And then the light bulb moment of, I'm living from an identity that says I'm broken. I'm not good enough. I have to earn love, right? It's not something I inherently am deserving of. Like all these beliefs I had that kind of are threaded together and conditioned by my very toxic upbringing, right? And so, really, what that meant for me through my journey to release that old identity that wasn't mine was I got to start going through all the physical stuff in my house and
Yes.
all the things that hold energy, right? And clear channels from an energetic physical standpoint. I need to do this in my relationships. I need to really get real with who is aligning with me and who isn't.
Yeah.
And I had such a deep fear of abandonment, like beyond from my dad, that like I couldn't ruffle feathers because they leave me and then I'd be alone. And then what would I do? Right. But getting
'Cause-
through that
yeah.
of finding new evidence, right? Of like, I'm gonna speak my truth here and no one's gonna hit me, no one's gonna swear at me. If they do, I have the ability to leave the situation and I'll be fine. Right. And so finding new evidence of safety in my voice and all of that. And then all of that kind of trickled into the habitual environment, is what I call it.
Mhm.
And then mindset comes, right? But if our environment, to wrap this up, is reflecting an identity that is not ours and not our highest self, we will do the 30-day mindset challenge, and on day 31 we're going to go right back. And by the way, for those of you listening, there's nothing wrong with you if you keep trying to adopt a new mindset and you're failing.
Yeah.
You've got to start shifting your environment. We have everything inside, but our
Shedding.
subconscious is running the show, you know?
Yes, you've got to shed the things that are not meant
Yeah.
for you. That's what I've been learn. I mean, after my whole, reality show TV experience, the huge takeaway that I had out of this was that I was in an environment that I was not my people, was not super. I was comfortable in the discomfort because I was able to just be myself. But like coming out of it and like, where I'm at now versus even where I was a few weeks ago, I'm now like, oh my gosh, like I'm spending time with my friends on the weekends. I'm, seeing people that I want to be around. And not that there's anything wrong with anybody, but like, everyone who I hang out with is different than people that I met there. And when you shed, again, not them, but like you shed that generational trauma, when you shed the things that are not meant for you, whether that's your career, whether that's a person, whether that's stuff around your house, these things that aren't meant for you, you can really change your life.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you start attracting the things that are, because you're not repelling them. So that's what I like to, when I work, I am nowhere near personal coaching like you, but I have a few people that I work with, and it's like the simplest thing is like, let these things go. Focus on you. Say no. Say no. That's a big, powerful one. Say no.
Can I share my favorite version of no?
Yes, please do.
It's this simple, guys. Are you ready? Write this down. Get your pens. That doesn't work for me. Oh, it feels so good to say. I get like a little rush when I say it. When I started getting comfortable saying, that doesn't work for me. And then I'm sure you've experienced where
Yep.
you start attracting people that also use the same language, and you hear it and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
nice. I'm proud of you for that. Even if it's something
Right.
you can't do for me, I see that power in you. I recognize it and I like it. Right. Versus the people that aren't there yet and they're in the toxicity and they get repelled by that. Good. We want to repel that. Right. And so
Exactly.
you will feel a lonely period, but it's only a matter of time before the right people start coming in.
That's right. And one thing I always tell people, whether it's like friends or whatever, people have a hard time connecting in real life, especially after the last couple of years, which I feel like this is the pandemic episode.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
but like,
it's like a big deal, kind of a big deal in our generation.
I mean, it is. It's going to be. I mean, yeah. But I can't even with that. But
I
I
know.
think so many people like lost their ability to connect. They lost their ability to be comfortable going up to someone in a bar or going up to someone at a coffee shop or in a grocery store. And that's never really been something I've done very often. because it does seem kind of surfacey, and I do like to have, real conversations and get to know someone. And but what I think people need to do, or people should consider doing, is start. And I have a, maybe by the time this airs, like I started doing specific self-care things about 2.5 months ago. And I've shared them sporadically, but there's just a whole method that I put together, um, of like reflecting on the day before specific things, and then setting intentions for the day, setting, very basic things. And I've been doing that, and it's helping me achieve things and accomplish things and like be connected to myself. And that's what I think is just so important. People really struggle with it. And when you don't do that with yourself, you're going to have a hard time doing it with other people. And you've got to, once you do that, you will shed the things that are not meant for you. And it will, like you said, be lonely, but you will come out of that stronger than ever, more in tune with yourself than ever. And just make sure you keep it, and don't let anyone or anything take it from you once you get it.
Yeah. That's you anchoring that identity in, so that no matter what
Mhm.
happens, it's not to say you can't change and evolve and grow. I think that's a goal for so many, if not all of us. And it's something it's honorable to shoot for that.
Yeah.
And just being able to discern what is true for you. That's really what it
Right.
boils down to, is when someone comes at you with something, or their perspective on something, you don't have to own it. My mom once told me this parable. I don't know if it was Rumi or somebody, but I just remember it's very simply, when someone gives you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does the gift belong? And I don't even mean like a nice thing. Like sometimes the gift is like their ego or their whatever,
Mhm.
right? It's like if someone gives you something and you don't accept, well, who does it belong to, right? And so you don't always have to join every argument you're invited to. You don't have to take on an identity of someone's experience, right? And so the more we can have our environment reflect our truth,
Mhm.
that's what it does. It reflects back to us as a reminder of who we are physically, socially, habitually, energetically, spiritually. It's so important. So if any of you listening want to go into action on this and really integrate this, the first step I always suggest is getting real with yourself. And part of that means I have people make a less more list. So just I say take a notebook and open it with blank pages on both sides. And on one side, write all the things you want less of. On the right side, write all the things you want more of. And then you
Yeah.
start doing the connection piece, which is, wow, if I have less of this, it means I have more of this, right? And then you
Right.
start putting into action. And I tell them, pick 3 things, without, don't put limitations on it, but 3 actions you can take, just 3, to implement less of something and more of something. And
Mhm.
usually it happens, simultaneously, right? But that's why journaling and all of this, like, keep it real with yourself, guys. Keep it
Yes.
honest, because people will, not intentionally all the time, but they will try to move you away from your truth to benefit themselves and make themselves
Mhm.
comfortable. And it's this false sense of safety. And it's a slippery slope where one day, and I think a lot of us, right, we wake up and we're like you with the CMO stuff, it's like, who am I? What do I
Yep.
want? And that's the most exciting, best question you could ever ask yourself in this life.
Yes. And also, to build on what you said, when you're when people are not respecting your boundaries or your self-care routines or whatever that is, like that's a them thing. That's not a you
Hmm.
thing. Your boundaries are for you, and it's giving that relationship an opportunity to still exist. And if they can't
Yes.
respect it, maybe that relationship shouldn't exist, or at
Well,
least
and
exist in a very different form.
and one of the biggest mistakes I made for decades, many years, was even when I learned about boundaries, which probably wasn't that long ago, but like the conscious awareness of what a boundary is, because a lot of us did not
Mhm.
grow up with that language or even that at all, is the codependency and the enmeshment was like very uh, part of the experience for me.
Yeah.
So learning about boundaries, even then thinking, okay, if I tell this person what I believe my boundary to be, because we're always kind of learning about ourselves and what we
Oh
need, but if
yeah.
I tell them and they're not respecting it, it's like, what the hell? Like, why would you do this to me? Like, I told you. But yet we keep making ourselves available for that assault or
And
whatever, or that abuse or
exactly.
whatever you want to call it. And I started to do the opposite and everything changed. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not going to argue with you. I'm just not available for this conversation right now. I love you. I respect you. Be gone. I'm not available for this right now. Or I've had in the past when I wasn't being true to myself and taking on clients that were not aligned with my values and the direction I was moving in, there was some disrespect at times, right? And it's like,
That,
well, how could they behave this way? How could they think I'm available all the time? Like, they don't think I'm busy, but I was always available,
that's
and
why
it's
they
like,
think that.
that's what I'm saying. So let me rephrase by saying, when you tell someone about a boundary, you're making a suggestion. A verbal boundary is merely a suggestion. It is
Mhm.
not a boundary, right? But the
Yep.
the actual embodiment of that boundary, then you can say, "Ooh, this person's not great." But when we point fingers at someone that keeps, you know, stepping over our boundary because we told them something, that is not taking ownership, right? That is living in victim mode and not taking ownership of the role that we played in that. And I can say for myself, that was very true for a very long time. And a person in their empowered state embodies it. They don't waste
Right.
their precious energy on an argument to prove a damn thing about themselves. They know who they are.
That's exactly it. And that is one of the most difficult things. And I was the same way. Like, I didn't know. So I went to my family's all throughout my 20s every Sunday, no matter what. And I hope they're not listening to this, but it was like, I realized that like being around them so much put me on edge, took away my calm and, walking on eggshells. And then when I stopped that, like I have better relationships with them now.
Yeah.
I I put myself through it for a couple holidays a year and, occasionally for special occasions. And that works. Like, I am not in that constant state that I get in when I'm around people who haven't necessarily done the work, let's just say. And that's okay. And it sucks. And sometimes I know I'm hurting their feelings and I have guilt. I've raised Catholic. I have guilt about everything. And I'm just kidding. I'm getting through it. But it does. It gives you this sense of empowerment. And, again, you'll shed people, but you don't want people that aren't going to respect you and just continue to demand more. And also, like, if they don't respect it and you have to keep enforcing it, that's your energy being used
Right.
on something that you could be using to take care of yourself a little bit better or continue learning something. Or one of the things I always tell people too is like, do something new this week. Go buy that online class. Go download that, how to video and whatever it is. Go try a new class at the gym, like whatever it is. Go take a cooking class. Just do it. Like, do these things for you. And it's so hard and people struggle with it, but it does make such a difference.
Yeah, I love that. And that goes back to circling back to the discomfort thing, is getting yourself a little bit uncomfortable
Hmm.
in a way that feels true. I just wrote a newsletter about this last week. Just there's different types
Nice.
of discomfort, right? And one of them is like the one that you just keep allowing to happen to you. And
Yes.
that's the shittiest one. Like, no one wants to go through that. But when you choose it and it's one that's aligned with your truth, right? Like the discomfort I'm feeling around the expansion of my
Mhm.
business and all of that, and the discomfort around dating. Like, I really don't want to be alone forever, right? So just putting myself out there in little ways. And I think that's the psychology and the reason behind the cold showers and the ice baths and I did that all summer. I didn't do it all summer. I did it for like a couple weeks, but it it's a good reminder that we can do hard things and we can get
Yeah.
through it. And when we choose discomfort versus letting it choose us, we have a totally different experience the next time discomfort comes around that we don't choose.
Yes, you are so right. And I need to choose the discomfort of the cold shower because I've been talking about it with myself for like months now.
Do it. Can you do it? Can you start tomorrow?
I'm going to start tonight,
Yeah.
maybe.
Oh, nice. Oh, maybe I have to do it too. Okay. Deal.
Okay, that's the
I'm
deal.
gonna do
Everyone
it.
listening, make sure you try a cold shower
Just
tonight.
one. And I will tell you, I don't know what it is, but the cold shower for me is so much harder than the bath, because the bath, the gravity's there and you just breathe, but the shower, like it takes all of me not to move out of it. Like you like
Well, and it's
stand there.
uneven. So it like hits
Yeah,
this
it's like
side
all
and then
crazy. And it's on your head, which is not my
right,
favorite, but it's
right.
like beating down on your brain. We're not selling this at all, are we? But yeah,
No.
just try it. You'll see the other side of it is that empowered state. And
Mhm.
so when the little things come or the big things, you just feel more prepared. Your
Yeah.
mindset around what feels hard, your bar of what feels hard is different.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. And that's like true mindset through behavior changes. And that's, oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I think you told me it was 7 degrees where you are. So just good luck to you, sir.
Thank you. So can I
Yeah.
just like walk outside without a coat? It's like the same thing.
No, it's the same thing would be if you were naked. That would be the same. So that's
Yeah.
up to you.
No, I'll skip that one.
Yeah, we don't want to get the cops involved.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Legal discomfort, guys. Legal.
Whew, that's not what we're going for with
No.
discomfort. Plus, it's middle of winter, so it's not even
Yeah, same.
I'm not in my best summer shape.
I love it. Vulnerable. That's good.
Right,
That's good.
right.
Uncomfortable stuff here.
So, I want to be conscious of time. Is there anything else you want to cover, or should we go to the Ask Me Anything?
Oh, yeah, ask me anything. I'm
Okay.
excited. Am
All
I?
right.
We'll see. Am I
All
asking
right.
you?
Yeah,
Are you
you're
asking?
asking me. So
Oh, I'm
yeah.
asking
So
you.
yeah, you're
Okay.
asking. So
I haven't.
yeah,
I've been so deep in the convo that I haven't thought about it. So let me see what comes to me. Ask you
yeah.
anything. If you were to write a book about anything that you feel like would serve the world, what would it be?
So funny you should ask. I actually think that I'm going to write a book at some point that's going to really be a therapeutic exercise for me to get out of the person I've been at the different stages or seasons. I hear people say that a lot now of my life. And the mess of stuff that I've had to deal with, and the times, if I'm being fully vulnerable, that I've wanted to give up. And I want to share like some of the tools and the exercises and the reframes of how I have to think, and how all of this was possible because like I mean, I have things I'm sorry for, of course, but like it's been so long since I've done anything that I felt like that has been like against my character. And I think that is because of all of my experiences of shedding all of the people that weren't meant for me, and boundaries around people, and like breaking away from like generational trauma. And, really just share those stories and those tools, I guess, and maybe give people a little bit of hope and baseline if they're struggling. So I think that's probably it. Or, um, um, some sort of like fiction horror story or something like
Oh, I
that.
did not see that coming.
Yeah. No, I love like horror movies and horror storytelling and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Actually, I don't love horror. I saw The Shining in 7th grade, and I still to this day don't know where my parents were, and never again watched a horror film. But
Mm.
I'm sure it would be great. I trust.
They're Halloween. So I used to want to be a filmmaker. I went from kid wanting to be a WWE wrestler to wanting to be a filmmaker to settling in marketing. That was my
I know, and you and I have had other conversations
yeah.
around kind of like that whole thing, and it's interesting how many of us do that. And
Mhm.
what I say to that, I think this is a great place to kind of wrap is right now in my life, I am living a passion through helping the world heal through publishing, right? And people telling their stories. And right, I am bringing in elements of what I've always wanted to do, which is be a dancer and be a pop star and all of that. And now all these opportunities are coming. And you know what?
Right.
I'm giving you all permission. You can be all of it. You can be all of it,
Yes.
right? And whatever you took from your CMO job that like felt really, really good, you can take that into something else, right? And we don't have to live in these boxes. And even just as a woman, it was like, oh, I was in corporate for so long, so I have to cover up if anyone wants to take me seriously and all this stuff. And now I'm going to shake my booty on stage tomorrow night, and I really don't care. And the more that I've just embodied this, like,
People are
innate
nuanced.
power,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that I now, it's like, you're right. I'm going to turn people off, but it's the people that I never wanted to work with anyway. It's the people that I never wanted to date anyway, right? Or be friends with. So then this whole swarm of people come in. I can't even tell you the difference in my business since I just said, fuck it. Right.
Yeah.
And was myself and living in my true power, that I have the most interesting, most passionate, incredible people and authors that I work with. Like, I have to pinch myself, that have led me to amazing opportunities in the things that I love, in dance, in acting, and all these things. Like, all these crazy things are coming up, and just being in the flow of what we want. So I guess to summarize, it starts small. Like, if you want to dance, like, go find an ad and like audition and get a little discomfort in your life and get scared. And I think, just like you said, it was so on point. Like, do some things that just feel not great. And I tell every week when I have dance class, I'm like, even now, I'm like, oh, it's snowing, I'm not going to go. And I'm like, my higher self her name is Star. And she says, get up, go to dance, do the thing that you love, because sometimes the things that we want, they feel hard, because that's part of the journey. So
I could not agree more with that. And I would encourage everyone, and that's the whole theme there, is when you connect with yourself and you put your best self out there, you attract the things that are meant for you. And that's what's happening to you right now. Yeah. And it's okay to be nuanced. Like, I am nuanced. Like, if you follow me on social media, you'll see the guy who dresses up to go to a horror movie premiere. And then you'll see the guy who, just went to WWE and, then you'll see the guy who's, making soap, and people are nuanced, and that's okay. Like, if that's who you are, put it out there in the world. You'll find people that are just like you or want to be there for the journey.
And you find yourself. Just do the things, because then you literally find the path. So that just do it. Nike, do it.
Yes. Yeah,
Can I say
exactly.
That?
Of course. Okay. So Samantha, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can definitely find me on Instagram. I am Samantha Joy. If you are interested in perhaps embarking on your own writing and publishing journey, you can visit me at landonhalepress.com and book a call. And and slide in my DMs if you're single. I'm just kidding. Okay.
You said the "I'm just kidding" too quick, or I would have them cut that out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you can keep it. No, we're being ourselves. It's fine. I'm hilarious. Maybe.
Me too. And I like to put people in uncomfortable situations and see how they react.
I'm uncomfortable. So. Mission accomplished.
And then I got to ask this too real quick. Is Joy your real last name, or is that?
Joy is my middle name. My last name is very Polish and always gets botched, but it is Kowalski.
Kowalski? How does that get botched?
I don't know. It's so phonetic. I can't make sense of it.
So phonetic.
I know. Yeah. And it's like a very famous name in a lot of, movies and such. But for whatever reason, it has haunted me. And a lot of it started with it was kind of a pen name. I mean, it is my name, but for my book, and it was just less syllables, I guess. So now here we are.
Well, I think it's a cool name. That's why I had to ask.
You.
Lucky you. Well, thank you for coming on today. Really appreciate it. And this was awesome combo. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Conversations with Nick Thompson. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow us and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Links can be found in the description below, and we can't wait to see you next time.